Today, we're diving into a deeply personal and complex journey, one that many couples face but rarely talk about openly. This story comes from a Reddit post by the user Subtle Omega, titled, "My wife cheated on me and now has so many demands and it feels so unfair." Let's dive into it. My wife and I recently tied the knot after 6 years together, including a 3-year engagement due to COVID setbacks. Throughout our relationship, her mental health struggles, depression, ADHD, anxiety have been apparent, especially exacerbated by the pandemic. The isolation and fear from COVID restrictions, combined with a family health scare, took a toll on her well-being. Although she lost her job during this tumultuous time, she swiftly found a remote position, albeit with unpredictable hours. Despite her challenges, I've consistently endeavored to provide support. She once confided that I was the only one who made her feel capable of realizing her true potential. However, it seems that changed at some point. A few months after our wedding, she contracted COVID-19 and endured lingering symptoms of long COVID, which took a significant toll on her both mentally and physically. While she seemed to be on the path to recovery after a few months, she unfortunately fell ill with COVID-19 again, experiencing another bout of long COVID symptoms. Although we were more cautious after her second infection, implementing stricter masking and dining only for essential occasions indoors while wearing masks in bars, the stress of her recurring illness became overwhelming. Following her second recovery, she plunged into a deeper depression than I had ever witnessed before. In response, she made the decision to take a leave from her job. During this period of depression and leave, I took on all household responsibilities, including caring for her, while also maintaining full-time employment. During her leave, there was some improvement. She made attempts to engage in various activities, such as taking classes, but the only consistent endeavor was her yoga practice. Her sleep patterns, disrupted by depression, led to late nights and subsequent naps, perpetuating a cycle of irregular sleep. As a result, she often attended yoga classes in the evenings, gaining energy thereafter. Occasionally, she would mention plans to meet friends from her yoga class at a bar or engage in drawing sessions at a local establishment. Despite intending to return home after a brief period, she would prolong her outings with the familiar refrain of just another 2 hours, often returning home late, occasionally inebriated. During her recovery from a depressive episode and battling long COVID, I grew concerned about her reliance on this coping mechanism, as it seemed to exacerbate her sleep issues. Not only did it disrupt her sleep schedule, but it also deprived her of essential vitamin D from sunlight exposure, crucial for overall mental health. Despite my attempts to address these concerns, she often reacted defensively to my feedback. I documented my thoughts extensively and broached the topic during our discussions, even suggesting she raise it with her therapist. However, our couples therapy sessions tended to focus more on managing triggers from past trauma and de-escalation techniques, rather than delving into our communication challenges. However, this time proved to be too much. During her outings, she attracted the attention of several men. Eventually, one of them wore her down, leading to physical intimacy. She even exchanged contact information with him, leading to subsequent encounters and eventually sexual relations. Additionally, she engaged in similar interactions with 2 other individuals, though she insists they remained purely virtual. My discovery of her infidelity occurred innocently while I was charging her phone during her nap. As the screen lit up, I noticed a peculiar text notification. Curiosity led me to explore further, unaware of any suspicions. To my dismay, I stumbled upon evidence of her indiscretions. I also uncovered emails to her alternate address, prompting me to save them as evidence to prevent any potential denial. When she woke up from her nap, we talked and cried together. I felt completely broken and numb. However, her remorse seemed genuine. She confessed that she was desperate to feel wanted, young, and alive, and reassured me that she never intended to be with anyone else. She acknowledged her mental health struggles and expressed deep regret for damaging our marriage. Despite everything, I told her that I wanted to work on her mental health, our relationship, and that I still wanted to be with her. The next day was difficult, but we managed to get through it somehow. She had a therapist appointment, and we discussed it afterward. According to her, the therapist told her she had never done this before, so it doesn't define who she is. She felt trapped and sought attention. The leave from work and the resulting freedom were beneficial for her mental health, which is true. The way I discovered her actions was a violation of her privacy. During our conversation, she conveyed these points defensively defensively, seeming to shift the blame onto me for her actions. I was unhappy with the perceived lack of guilt. Over the next few days, she seemed to take responsibility, giving me hope for our growth. However, just 5 days after I discovered her infidelity, she wanted to consider her job situation after an afternoon yoga class. That evening, she delayed coming home again. I asked her to take her time, but set an expectation for her to be home by 2 a.m., explaining that repeating the same behavior so soon after cheating undermines trust. She had location sharing on her phone, so I went to the bar where she was. I reiterated my concerns in person, but she insisted on staying until 2 a.m. I left, and although she did come home later, I don't believe she cheated again. After our couples therapy session the next day, she had another individual therapy appointment a few hours later. Since then, she has barely been home. She gives me vague plans, like having dinner with a certain friend, but nothing specific. She says she needs space. She comes home late, sleeps on the couch until I wake up, then moves to our bed until it's time to leave again. From our couples therapy session, I suspect she's going to demand changes so she doesn't feel trapped. I don't want her to feel trapped. I want her to be healthy, to have healthy coping mechanisms, and to want to be with me. While she still texts "I love you," she hasn't said it in person for a week. I'm terrified that she wants a more complete separation, not only for my sake, but for hers as well, given her history of ideation. I just want her to be okay. I believe she is projecting her parents' relationship onto ours and now views anything I do as controlling or annoying. I think her therapist might also have this perspective, possibly encouraging separation. While the therapist's advice might be justified based on what she's heard, I suspect my wife hasn't been fully transparent. For instance, she didn't disclose her infidelity during the 2 months it was happening, and likely hasn't mentioned how frequently she's been going out drinking alone. At our next couples therapy session, I fear I will be told that she plans to move out, and if I oppose it, I'll be labeled as controlling again. I don't understand how we've reached this point. The couples therapist once told me, just because she feels trapped does not mean that you are trapping her. Yet, I'm afraid my wife, who often feels overshadowed in our conversations, is now determined to assert herself. It feels like the worst timing and an unfair decision, but I don't want to lose her and start my life over. At the same time, I don't want to give in and reinforce her belief that I'm trying to control her, which would lead to lasting resentment. I acknowledge my faults. There's a reason we started couples therapy before this happened. I'm argumentative, and she is triggered by confrontation due to past trauma. While we've made progress and I'm improving, I'm far from perfect. Above all, I want her to be happy and healthy, and I thought she understood that. How can she believe that I want to control her rather than seeing that her coping mechanisms are unhealthy? I don't know how I'm coming across in this text, but I'm feeling pretty numb while writing it. I can't emphasize enough how much I try to be understanding in every conversation, even if she perceives it as me trying to win, or if the discussion becomes intense due to my tone or her trauma. This has been our main focus, and it deeply hurts that she thinks I want to control her. What I'm suggesting, not demanding, is as simple as being home by midnight on weekdays and maintaining a healthy sleep schedule for her mental well-being. Let us know your thoughts on what this couple should do in the comments. And don't forget to like the video to keep us motivated to bring you more content like this. See you next time.